Hello, today in our social science section, we would start a chapter, The Story of Village Palampur. This is from class 9th Economics. In this video, we are going to study about a village whose name is Palampur. All the conditions that we have in this village is imaginary. So it is an hypothetical village, and we would be going through the various activities which are undertaken in this hypothetical village. The main activity of the people in the village is farming. Like any other village, in this village also the main activity of the people is farming. Along with farming, people also undertakes non-farming activities such as small scale manufacturing, transport, shopkeeping, dairy farming, etc. So, the main activities undertaken by the people in the village is farming, and non-farming activities are also undertaken by the people who are living in the village. Now let us study about the overview of the village. Palampur is well connected with the neighboring villages and towns. Near Palampur, you will find a big village whose name is Raiganj, and Raiganj is 3 kilometers away from Palampur. We'll also find a small town, and the name of the small town is Shahpur. Both Raiganj and Shahpur are well connected to Palampur by all-weather roads, and all-weather roads are the Pakka roads which can also be used during the rainy season. The population of the people living in a village. The village has about 450 families belonging to different castes. 80 families are upper caste families. They live in Pakka houses. The houses are large, and these families owns the majority of the land in the village. The list consists of 1/3 of the population. They live in kacha houses, and they live in one corner of the village. In Palampur, most of the villages, they are having electricity connection. Electricity is used to run tube wells, and it is also used in small scale business. Palampur also has 2 primary schools and 1 high school. There is also a primary health care center which is run by the government, and there is also one private dispensary, and the sick people are treated in this dispensary. So overall we can say that Palampur is a developed village because both type of activities, farming as well as non-farming activities, are undertaken. Pakka roads are there, all weather roads are there in Palampur, which connects nearby towns and cities. There is a facility of electricity. Near about all the houses have electric connections. At the same time, electricity is also used in order to run tube wells and small scale business. There is also a facility for education, and there is also a facility for healthcare. Next, the organization of production. Organization of production can also be known as, it can also be called as the factors of production. What is production? Production may be defined as converting raw materials into finished products. It is an activity that converts raw materials into finished products. So the main aim of production is to produce the goods and services that we want. The main aim of the production is to produce the goods and services that we want. So now in this topic we would study about the factors of production. There are four factors of production: land, labor, capital, and enterprise. There are four factors of production: land, labor, capital, and enterprise. Capital can be classified into two categories. One is the fixed capital and other is the working capital. Fixed capital includes tools, machines, and buildings, whereas working capital includes raw materials and money in hand. Now in this picture, you will see the four factors of production. One is land, where agriculture is to be done. Other is the capital, which is required to purchase a tractor or a land. Then you have a labor, a person who will work on this land. And then an enterprise, a person who would be using his knowledge in order to get all the three factors of production together. So there are four factors of production, and if any one of them is missing, production is not possible. Let us discuss these factors of production one by one. Land is the fixed factor of production, and the supply of land is fixed. Labor means those people who will do the work. Those people who will do the work on a piece of land, they are labor. Physical capital can be classified into two categories. One is the working capital and other is the fixed capital. Working capital is that part of the physical capital which is used up in the process of production. That part of the physical capital which is used up in the process of production is called physical capital. The statement means that once we have used it, we cannot get it back, and if we want to use it again, we have to acquire it from some other source. Example: raw materials and money in hand. Take an example of raw material. You are having insecticides, is a raw material, is an input which is required in the production process in order to grow crops. Once you have used the insecticides, you will not be able to get it back. If you want it, if you want to use it again, then you have to purchase it from somewhere else again. So this is the working capital, means it is used up in the process of production. Then you have a fixed capital. Fixed capital is that part of the physical capital which can be used in the process of production for many years. It can be used in the production of process again and again. It can be used in the production of process for many years. So that is called fixed capital. Example: machines, buildings, tools. Once you have purchased a machine, you can use that machine in a production process for many years. You can use it in the process of production again and again. And the last one is knowledge. Knowledge means enterprise. So there are four factors of production, and all the factors of production are important. If any one is missing, production cannot be done. Next is the farming in Palampur, and first case is land. The supply of land is fixed. Land is fixed. 75% of the people, they are dependent on farming for their livelihood. In Palampur, 75% of the people, they are dependent on farming for their livelihood. And these people, they are farmers and they are farm laborers. They can be farmers, they can be farm laborers who are dependent on land for their livelihood. Standard unit for the measurement of land is hectare. Measurement of land is done in hectare, and this is the standard unit for the measurement of land. 1 hectare is equals to 10,000 meters square, and the local units for the measurement of lands is bigha, and it can also be called gunthia. Gunthia and bigha are the local units, whereas the standard units for the measurement of land is hectare, and 1 hectare is equals to 10,000 meters square. Supply of land is fixed. We cannot increase land, whereas what we have to do, we have to produce more from the same piece of land that is there for production. Next question is there a way one can grow from the same piece of land? Is there a way one can grow more from the same piece of land? We have discussed that the supply of land is fixed, but the population of the country is increasing. The population of the country is increasing, whereas the supply of land is fixed. It means we need more and more crops. So is there any way one can grow more from the same piece of land? So we have to find out those ways. Now during the rainy season, that is the Kharif season, farmer can grow jowar and bajra. Jowar and bajra can be grown during the Kharif season, and during the winter season, rabi crops can be grown. Example, wheat can be grown. So in a year, more than two crops can be grown. This is called multiple cropping. So the question was, is there a way one can grow more from the same piece of land? Answer is yes. So what are the methods? The first method is the multiple cropping. Multiple cropping means to grow more from the same piece of land, means to grow more crops or to grow more than one crop from the same piece of land during the year is called multiple cropping. From the single year or during a single year, rabi crops and kharif crops can be grown. More crops can be grown, more than two crops can be grown during the same year, then this is called multiple cropping. And with the help of multiple cropping, we can grow more from the same piece of land. The other is the modern methods of farming. The modern methods of farming includes the use of tractors, include use of HYV seeds, use of insecticides, pesticides, fertilizers, all these. So modern farming methods also helps in increasing from the same piece of land. What we have to do, we have to replace traditional seeds and manures. Traditional seeds and manures were used till 1960s. After 1960s, green revolution was introduced. Green revolution means a steps that was taken for by the government to increase productivity. This was done in 60s and 70s. Government introduced modern farming methods in order to increase the productivity in the land. Modern farming methods includes high yielding varieties of seeds, HYV seeds. HYV seeds means high yielding varieties of seeds, and fertilizers were used along with tractors, along with improved tools, and this resulted in increasing productivity from the same piece of land. Changes in the method of cultivation. Modern Multiple cropping and modern farmings are the methods of cultivation which are used in Palampur to increase the production from the same piece of land. It means in order to grow more from the same piece of land, multiple cropping has to be adopted, and along with multiple cropping, modern farming methods has to be used so that production can be done in more quantities. Modern farming, high yielding varieties of seeds are used, and as a result, from the same piece of land, larger quantities of foods can be grown. In India, farmers of Punjab, Haryana and western Uttar Pradesh, they were benefited by the Green Revolution. Introduction of Green Revolution has helped in the growth of wheat and rice. The production of wheat, production of rice increased. The yield increased. Yield means production per hectare. Then the HIV seeds are capable of producing more amount of grains from a single plant. So with the use of this HIV seeds, production increased. Now question is, we are growing more and more from the same piece of land. We are using more and more fertilizers. We are using more and more insecticides and pesticides. Why? Because we want to have production. The question is, will the land sustain? If we will put more and more pressure on the land to produce more and more crops, will the land sustain? Answer is no. The land will not sustain. It means the land will lose its fertility. So what we have to do? We have to be very much careful in this use. We have to be very much careful in the use of insecticides, pesticides, chemical fertilizers. Due to green revolution, the fertility of the soil is decreasing. Due to green revolution, the fertility of the soil is decreasing because we are using chemical fertilizers, insecticides and pesticides. These chemical fertilizers, they have resulted in the reduction in the fertility of the soil. Along with the fertility of the soil, underground water level is also decreasing and the water is contaminated due to insecticides and pesticides. So the land will not sustain. How is the land distributed in Palampur? In Palampur, 150 families, most of them are Dalits. 150 families, most of them are Dalits and they have no land for cultivation. There are 150 families which are Dalits and they have no land for their cultivation. 240 families, they cultivate small plots of land. 240 families, they cultivate small plot of land less than 2 hectare in size, and cultivation of these plots does not bring much income to the family. There are 60 families which are medium and large farmers. 60 families in Palampur are medium and large farmers, and they are cultivating 2 hectares of land. They are cultivating more than 2 hectares of land, means they are cultivating land between 2 hectares to 10 hectares. And there are also few farmers in Palampur which has more than 10 hectares of land. So how is land distributed? In short, you can say 150 families, they are the list, they don't have any land. 240 families are small farmers which have land less than 2 hectares, and there are 60 families who are medium and large farmers. Out of these 60 families, many families have land between 2 hectares to 10 hectare, and among these 60 families, there are also some families which have land more than 10 hectares. So in this way, the land is distributed in Palampur. So this is all about from this lecture, the first part of the chapter. So next part of the chapter we would be doing in the next lecture. So this is all. Thank you.